Hey everybody, Freedom Voice here. I wanted to do another video here. This is going to be sort of like a review here. I got this video dropped in my box and I was looking at it and I thought this is very similar to something happened here in Northern California about 5 years ago. We had what was called the campfire. And during the campfire, one of the things I noticed as it burned parts of Redding and Paradise, California, so on and so forth, I noticed that two things. Number one, the fire seemed to be localized in the sense that there were certain areas that only one house burned in an entire subdivision. In another area, one car burned. And then also when you get close to the parts that did burn, the areas that did burn, I noticed that it had melted a lot of metal, steel. You know, I live in California. I lived in California all my life. And so I'm pretty familiar with fires and some of the collateral damage from a big fire. This just seemed very different. One of the things that really struck me was it was very similar to the campfire. So I'm going to play the video here and just sort of react to it. So we're going to start it now.
Hey, aloha guys, Eric West here, HawaiiRealEstate.org, coming to you live from Lahaina Luna neighborhood, Maui, Hawaii. Citizens impromptu reporter. Wasn't planning on doing this, but this is what we're doing, and I'm thankful to have a Starlink from David Crawford, and we're here reporting on what I believe is potentially a smoking gun of sorts. We just don't know what it is, but I'm going to show you the scenario of this car and what's surrounding it and how temperatures could reach this level, creating this amount of melting of aluminum. I'm here with Donovan. He is, I believe, a hero of sorts. Aloha, Donovan. Because he was the one that brought it to my attention that we have these very strange occurrences. We just shot down on the highway. I don't know if it was actually live, but we have it all recorded, so we're going to post it. We're at another one of these locations. So this is well above the burn zone, essentially, in a neighborhood known as Lahaina Luna. I'm going to show you around real quick so you can see the scenario and then judge for yourself. And again, if you enjoy content like this, I encourage you to please like the channel, subscribe, and share the video so you can get the truth of what's going on here at Maui. So,
all right, so you can see already as I stop the video here, you can see very clearly there are houses untouched all around this one particular property. I'm going to run the video again here.
Where I'm at right now, just to orientate you, you can see the lights for the football stadium right there at Lahaina Luna. So we're right below Lahaina Luna High School.
All right, I'm going to stop it there because I want you to notice up on the hill there, you can kind of see it looks like even the fire still, or at least there's smoldering going on. It's very smoky up there. It appears like, I don't know whether that's cloud cover or that's actually smoke, but that looks like an area that was burned. You can see all of the charred part on the looks like the left side of the mountain there. And all the trees are burned, very similar to the campfire here in Northern California. So I'm going to continue the video.
Neighborhood that did not, I repeat, did not burn. You can see all these houses are standing around here, unburned. There's no burn here, okay? So to me, this is like something out of a space movie, because you have this small field with some grass that burned, right?
All right, now, again, I have to stop it because this is very, very interesting, very different. It's not different in the sense that I haven't seen it before. I've seen this before. As I said, this is exactly what happened when we had the campfire. And that's kind of the reason why I'm doing this. I do believe that this is evidence of directed energy. And that's the reason why I'm showing this video or making this video. Now I'm going to continue.
You can see where the grass burned. But then you have these two vehicles sitting in here that have melted
it's
aluminum. So Donovan, if you want to just take us through this car real quick and show us, I know you know a few things about cars, you can point out some things that require a very high temperature. By the way, we just talked to the neighbor who was talking to an investigator in Lahaina Town yesterday, and he said the investigator told him the temperatures reached in excess of 3,000 degrees.
All right, I want to stop there, and I want you to notice now Donovan is going to talk a little bit, and what he has to say I think is very important, but I do want to say this. If you just look at this frame here that I have it freezed on, back window is completely melted. I mean, it's completely sort of melt, it's liquefied is the word that I'm trying to get. As well as the rim, you can see just on the other side, the left side of the trunk there, you see that river of what used to be aluminum that turned into sort of like a little small river. That normally doesn't happen with a regular car fire or campfire or something like that. That's very, very unique to high temperature fires. All right, and I'm going to put up some melting point stats in a minute to show you aluminum's melting point, how hot a fire has to get, and then I'm going to kind of measure that with a general campfire or car fire, how hot it gets.
So tell us what you got, Donovan.
Well, we have about 300 degrees for aluminum, and this
300?
1300.
1300, okay, thank you.
1300, well 1220, but if you round it up, because it was not only melted, it was liquefied to the point where it
ran
became
down the side of the hill.
a river of aluminum going down the dirt hill.
So this,
See, you can see here this sort of like this melted aluminum here. Now I'm going to let the video play because what they have to say I think is very interesting.
this is the aluminum rim, obviously. There's the tire, what's left of it, the steel threads or steel belts.
And maybe combination gas tank if the gas tank's aluminum.
Okay.
Look at that, guys.
So you have
I mean, that's
liquefied
not
aluminum running down the
normal
side of
to a
the
car
grass
fire. We've had car fires all the time, and I've never seen aluminum rims melt like that. Fire has to get very hot in order for that to happen.
The steel belt of the tire, which is just a bunch of a wire mesh laying there, and you have the windows that were melted, the back window. If you look at the big old, like almost.
Look at that.
The glass.
Look at that glass. You know, he did a really good job shooting this video because you can really see clearly glass melting. Okay.
Just melted.
Yeah, it was.
Dripping.
This is almost what you would see if you put a car in an incinerator.
Now, keep in mind, guys, this is right in the middle of a subdivision. I mean, you saw the panorama shot there. You saw that houses were all around, all the way 360 degrees around this burn pile here, and none of them were touched, but yet you have fire to get so hot in this one particular, looks like a lot. This looks like just a lot. And there's very little fuel there to cause a fire to get that hot. I mean, you don't have trees. When we had the campfire here in Northern California, there were a lot of trees. We've got the manzanita, we've got a lot of other trees here that would create a lot of fuel. So you can understand, at least in the forest area, why fires would get that hot, but not such in a neighborhood like this. I want to keep playing the video.
But this is not surrounded by a bunch of structure fires or anything.
Yeah, there's no fuel.
So besides the gas that was in the tank, what's your theory on what could create temperatures of this level in the middle of a field?
Anomaly, I think is the word.
So this is the second anomaly.
Yeah, it's just that's why I stopped. I looked at it, I'm like, okay, house. Nothing's burned, and then you have melted steel and glass, and then the only thing that is left is the steel, the thick steel frame, and then the steel sheet metal.
So I don't know if you guys have figured this out yet, but the media has not been given access to Lahaina town. Everything is locked up. Matter of fact, this gentleman next door, he was on Front Street yesterday, and he was
Look at that.
access.
I'm going to stop it right there. Notice that, guys. I mean, that's melted glass he has in his hand right there. Fire has to get very hot. Now, I'm going to put some stats up here at this point and just show you a melting point for glass and melting point for aluminum. You can find all this online, but I want to show you that those stats right now. Okay, I found this on, it looks like, I'll give you the website here in a minute, but as you scroll down, you can see right here, it says the melting temperature of glass depends on the composition of glass, moisture in glass content, and type of glass. Glass is molded at the temperature of 1400 to 1600 Celsius, 2552 to 2912 Fahrenheit. So 2,500 degrees. That's what it takes to melt glass. Now, as far as aluminum, I found this on Wikipedia. If you type in aluminum, you'll pull up this page here. If you look over to the right here, you can see melting point for aluminum is right at about 1220 degrees Fahrenheit. You can see it there at the top. So, aluminum, maybe, but, it has to get pretty hot. Now, as far as tires, car tires, notice what it says here. Generally, car tires will appear to melt at around 1,000 Fahrenheit, but before they get to that point, they will break down at about 390 degrees Fahrenheit and explode at about 750 degrees Fahrenheit. So again, I'm no expert at this, but I'm just using common sense, guys. I mean, if I look at all of these different numbers and I try to make sense of it, car tires melt at about 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Glass melts at about 2,600. But as I look at this car, I mean, it looks as though the steel for the most part, at least the sheet metal, is still intact. I mean, it is charred, but how do you burn glass and not burn steel? Because their melting point is right about the same. In fact, let me just show you the stats on that. If you just go to Wikipedia, look up steel, as you scroll down there, it talks about the structure itself. And again, it depends on the thickness. But notice here it says iron or steel melts at about 2,500 degrees Fahrenheit. And glass melts at about the same. I'll show you that here in just a minute. But I did want to go back to that video and show you how this is nothing but grass. Grass fires are not going to get that hot. Even if you have a full gas tank, you begin to wonder, how did this fire get that hot to where it's melting glass and melting, for the most part, alloy? It's just kind of an anomaly. I mean, how does that happen? That's the question. It just doesn't seem like that's possible. But I do want to go to another website here and show you the melting point for glass. Here it is here. The melting point temperature for glass is right at 2552. You really could say about 26 because that's pretty thick glass on that back window, front window. So I'm going to say 2,600. So the big question is, how can you melt glass and not melt steel? That's the big question. Because their melting point, glass melting point, is higher than sheet metal or steel. And even if gasoline is burning, it takes quite a bit of gasoline to melt glass. Anyway, I want to transition and show some overhead drone shots in Maui, Hawaii. This is drone footage. See, notice how one area is just completely untouched, and then another area just looked like something almost exploded. That's what it looks like to me. See, you can see footage here. Some areas are still green, trees not touched. Other areas, looks like it's just really been completely charred. And now they said it was a combination of high winds as well as dry conditions that caused the fire. They don't really know exactly the cause at this point, which really makes it more and more suspect. And what I notice is that the media is chasing around all over the internet trying to put down the idea that it's directed energy, which is kind of really different now. They seem to be trying to deny that. They don't seem to know what the source is, but they seem to be putting down the idea that it's directed energy. I did find that a lot over the internet, and that's first for me to be seeing news media agencies putting down the idea. Usually they just say it's conspiracy theory and don't talk about it. But they're definitely talking about it, and they're saying it's not directed energy when the evidence seems to be obvious to me. Either it was a missile, a bomb, or directed energy. But I don't know. What do you think, guys? Put in the comment section what you think this could be as far as the cause, because the media doesn't seem to know what the cause is. What's your thoughts?